And people like, why you put Rev Run on there? And Rev Run, first of all, he was a regular rap guy, round the way dude, whatever the case may be. And then he popped up one day and he was a reverend. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, cool. I respect that. I'm cool. I'm down with it. There was one clip in particular that made me think about him when he was at the 50th anniversary of Hip Hop Awards. Mind you, we know him as Rev Run now. Man, that fool got up on stage. I guess he forgot he was a reverend. You dig? And I mean, he's the cussingest nigga I heard in my life. Nobody that performed at the concert cussed more than Rev Run. That nigga was going in. I'm like, damn, will somebody tap this nigga on the shoulder? Hey, bro, you remember you're a pastor now, right? So I thought that was just real suspect. I didn't like the way that felt, or whatever the case may be. And then I remember nothing ever came of it, but I do remember this as well. Back in the days when what's his name? I forget his full. What's his name again? They just have Simmons on here, but Joseph Run Simmons was charged with sexual assault. You know what I'm saying? And nothing ever came of that. Nothing was ever proven, whatever the case may be. It did happen a long time ago. It was back in the day, back in 91. But like, I feel like when you take on the life of a preacher, you're supposed to hold yourself to a higher standard. Even when I look at his show, just some of the stuff that I hear him say and do, or whatever the case may be, even the whole thing with his daughter and her choosing to be with Yo Gotti of all people, him giving his blessing. I just looked at that kind of sideways. It was very strange to me, considering the type of dude that is, you know what I mean? And just some of the things that he would even let his daughters participate in growing up. It's like, bruh, you're supposed to be in the church now. You know what I mean? And his actions just didn't match up to it to me. Maybe I'm tripping, but that is how I feel about that situation. It's just very strange, some of the stuff that I've seen him do as a person who is a man of God, supposedly, and I tend to really kind of be on that. When I take people very seriously. If you're telling me that you're a man of God, I'm expecting you to act like a man of God. You know what I'm saying? At all times, in all capacity, I'm expecting you to bring it. You know what I'm saying? Now that's one guy. And these first two, I'm not going to stay on for too long because the stuff is kind of mild, but I just want to set up what I'm saying by painting the picture. You know what I'm saying? And the other guy who's kind of mild for me is this guy, because people don't realize that this guy is a repeat offender. Hall of Fame tight end and media personality Shannon Sharpe sued for assault and other claims. The media is investigating whether Sharpe, has the claims against him, whatever the case may be. The guy who's in the article reports that Sharpe's time at FS1, he was accused of choking. Here's Shannon Sharpe with the choking again. He was accused of choking a female production assistant in the workplace. And two unnamed sources are in support of that. You understand what I'm saying? So this is basically, I'm showing people here again that this is not this person's first rodeo in any capacity. Not only that, hold on, what's the other one? Because Shannon Sharpe has another one in here. Shannon Sharpe is a mess. You understand? Like on some real talk, I really hope he gets himself together, because Shannon is always in the news for the wrong reasons. Shannon Sharpe arrested at least twice for battering two different women decades before two latest lawsuits. You understand? And this is what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand when they talk about Shannon Sharpe and the stuff that he's doing now. And I mean, now he's got another case with, the lady at the Usher concert that was dismissed. Thank goodness. I'm glad he's catching a break of sorts or whatever, because I don't believe Shannon Sharpe to be a bad person. What's up, Anubis? But he is one of these repeat offenders. He just don't get it. No matter how many times his big goofy ass knock his head up against the cabinet in the kitchen, you know, he still keeps banging it. And I just can't understand, you know, some of these folks that they get a million chances and then they screw up a million more times. Talk to me about that. What do y'all feel about those two stories?
Well, going back to the Joseph Rev Run, you got to understand the apple don't fall too far from the neighboring tree. Remember Russell Simmons and his allegations and what he went through with Kimora Lee and you know, dating her at the age of what, 14 or 16, and having a child with her. Having a child with her. And then he got into some legal allegations that a lot of people don't know about. And allegedly, that was one of the reasons why he had to leave Def Jam and give it over to Jay-Z, and also took off into another country. From my understanding, I don't even think he is in the United States for a very long time. So, you know, that type of, you know, your friends, that's why we always tell the youth and everybody, you know, and one of my favorite quotes from my father that I had, you know, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Don't tell me who you are. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. That's why that quote from my dad that passed that down to me was so powerful, because you shouldn't, there's nobody who's going to get the opportunity to tell their side of the story or tell you about what they are. They should be able to off rip, look at you and do everything else and have a basic precision of or a good gesture of the type of person you are based on your the way you talk, your mannerisms, you know, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself. There's a lot of components that's in it that people can see, like, hey, you know, that's a pleasant person to be around, or oh, now, you know, something's a little off with that person. I'm a little suspect. So you got to be very careful about the people you hang around, because even though you're not doing it, you will still carry the same heat as somebody else doing it. It's no different than you doing a crime. You might be the getaway driver, but the person who pulled the trigger, all y'all going to get charged on the capital murder as the same thing. So you got to be very careful about the friends that you hang around. So when you hear about Rev Run, that doesn't shock me because of Russell Simmons and the whole camp of what goes down. The other guy, I don't know, he's like, shh. You know, I don't got nothing to do with it, which kind of reminds me of the Fugees when you got Praz and then you had the other dude, John Forte. They got caught up in some all type of weirdo shit. And then even, what's his name? Wyclef and all them, you know what I'm saying? But Lauryn Hill, the one they deemed crazy, she ain't get tied up in all that nonsense if you go to digging in some stuff. But on to the next person, Shannon Sharpe. We already know who he is. He's just this big buff dude that don't really have no brains. And involving yourself with interracial dating, like we had expressed on this show before, could be very dangerous, even in a playful manner. Because if you read the script in it, it stated that they were doing this interaction, this physical interaction, in a playful manner with his colleagues. So they don't highlight that part of it. But still, because you open up one can of worms, now everything that is associated with it, friendly or not, is going to still be demonized as something bad, because you already got proven for something bad in the public's eye. So now you're going to go through scrutiny of everything. And this is another play on white supremacy, because what they do is once they open up the can, they're out here doing dog whistles for all the stuff in your past, so people could come from the past and say, hey, I got a case against him. And now it's just easy way to drain a black man's money. So a lot of black folks, man, you got to be very wary about how you're carrying yourself, because you could be your own ticking time bomb. And I'll land my plane.
Yeah. Bobby Drake.
I'll do it backwards. I'll go ahead and kick it off with Shannon first, and we'll go back to Run.
Go for it.
It's the year 2025 AD.
Okay.
And I say that because I need to just really begin with that in mind to understand that what we're discussing is nothing new. It's not like somebody just went to the mountaintop and discovered fire or something, and that, oh wow, there's this brand new thing we've never seen here before. Ow, it burns. We should be careful. You would think be it Shannon Sharpe or anybody else, you would think that this was some brand new situation that nobody's seen before, no one's heard about, that there's complete no precedent or case history of this to refer to. And that couldn't be farther from the case. But yet we still keep on seeing it. It really is punching down at this point. We see the same people falling subject and prey to this over and over and over and over and over again. I'm not over exaggerating. We can literally take the same story, put it on a storyboard, put it on a bulletin board, and all we would have to do is just swap heads and names and maybe a few key words in the actual description, the body of the text. And I assure you, you could almost word for word replay these situations over and over and over again. You wouldn't need to do a whole bunch of writing. You don't even need AI for it. That's how commonplace this is.
Yeah.
At some point, I am wondering, maybe it's this generation. Where is the generation that is going to begin teaching young men how to be sexually disciplined? Who is going to give them proper game and context dealing with interracial dating and intraracial dating? How to deal with the sisters that you're dealing with and the culture that encompasses relationships. But also, if you're going to go out there, or what is out there, what the dangers and the traps are out there. I'm waiting for this because I'm honestly annoyed at this point. I'm to the point where I almost don't care anymore, because it's like we see that this is something that needs to be addressed early.
Yeah.
And no one seems to think that that's important enough to do, but everyone wants to cry, oh man, come on, and complain about it. I like solutions.
Thanks.
I'm all for chopping up and discussing what the issue is up front and, piecing out what's all the components so we can get a proper context and understanding. But once that's done, I don't have too much patience for the whole rehashing over and over again. I don't have the patience for that. My attention span tunes out because we have the information. We've got all the data points. When are we going to start acting on the intel?
Yeah. Right.
And so a dude like Shannon Sharpe should be gaming people up. And again, I have to tip my hat to where it's due. I give props to Brother Dion. Brother Primetime, he went when he was at Colorado, and he actually brought one of these broads and groupies out there.
Yeah.
Had them sitting right there in the young boy's face, talking to them. Sex was off the table. They're not in a club. It's not no alcohol, whatever. It's an academic setting. They're listening to her speak, listen to how she thinks, and they already got the game up front. This is the kind of woman basically that's going to try and tank you. So they had a whole film study right there on dealing with that type of broad. We need to see Shannon Sharpe type brothers doing the same kind of thing.
Agreed.
They should be teaching the seminar, not being the case study. That's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing as hell. I'm embarrassed for him. I mean, golly, bro.
60 years old. This man has got much more life behind him than in front of him. That's what he's doing. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's sad.
As far as running goes, I need us to start taking certain things more serious. And I'm not knocking the brother because, again, I'm not using the excuse of nobody's perfect, what have you. But you have to understand that when you decide to take on certain walks, and that's going to come with something. You're going to have to divorce yourself with certain things. You have to move a different way, if for no other reason, for the fact that that's going to put you under greater scrutiny. Right. If for no other reason. It should be more than that, but if nothing else, for your own personal sake, you should understand that it's going to come with additional eyeballs, additional scrutiny. People going to keep their eyes on you, waiting for you to slip up or whatever. Right. And if that's not for you, leave it alone. Yeah. If you're going to do that, you need to understand what that comes with, but you need to also make sure that you're being sincere. I have an issue where the whole concept of church and religion and spirituality is taken as a hustle and treated that way. I'm bothered by it on two ends of the spectrum. I'm bothered when so-called ministers and clergy go ahead and they basically try to pimp out God in his name and try to use that for a come up and for a bag and basically try to rob people and pull the wool over the eyes. I got an issue with that, but I also got an issue with the people that are too stupid to see what's happening and they want to play dumb and play goofy. Okay. I got a problem with that because maybe it's just me. When I look at scripture, I see that we are admonished to be as cunning as serpents, but as harmless as doves. We're supposed to be able to peep game, recognize when someone's trying to play us a boo-boo the fool, and not fall for the go ahead. Not go ahead and enable them to play stupid. Well, I mean, he took the money out of my pockets, but that don't necessarily mean that he robbed me.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro.
Personal accountability has to come into play.
Agreed.
So yes, I'm gonna knock the person that's got the pistol on you and holding you up, but I'm also gonna knock you for walking right towards me, saying, "Hey, if you need somebody to rob, I got some extra cash. I'm a little flush this week."
Facts.
It's a two-way street.
Interesting point. That's actually a great segue right into our next topic. That works great because we're going to talk a little more about some of these people that like to play with the word. I like that. Conversations 2020.